Presenting. All right. So one, we need to know what the coordinates are. You can do that. Excuse me, honey, I'm sorry. And two, we need to know how to multiply by 1, -1. That's all you do. When you reflect, you flip something over, right? When you flip it over an axis, you multiply the one you're going over times -1. So, right here, on your first problem, number 1, we're going across the x-axis. Whoa. Right? That means this whole shape is going to get flipped up because this is my x-axis. And if I want to flip across the x-axis, this here flips over like that, right? So you know what it doesn't do? It doesn't move left or right. It just flips over. So the numbers are going to stay the same. My R is going to become R prime. I have 4, -1 right there. What's the coordinate for R prime? Or +1. What changed? I still have a 4 and a 1. What changed? The y become a negative, right? So when I flip across the x-axis, when I see these words, I've got to do y times -1. When you flip across x, all you have to do is y times -1. What is the coordinate of A? Look at your paper. What's the coordinate of A? 2, -1. If I flip this coordinate right across, my A prime is going to be right there. What's that coordinate? +1. Notice the x stayed the same, right? But I did y times -1. What about z? Look at your z. See if you can come up with what your z prime should be. We're on problem 1, right there. So what's the coordinate on z? X is 0, Y is, so my Z prime is going to be 0 positive. Across the x-axis, y times negative 1. Across x, change y. Change your sign on y. And so my n prime is 1 positive 5. So I have the shape and if I get rid of all of my other writing, come on you. Don't erase it on yours. You want it on yours. Doesn't that look like this shape has just been flipped over? I mean, eyeballing it when it comes to shapes is going to get you a lot of your answers, right? If you just look at it in your book bag. All right, let's check out number 2. I got to go across the y-axis. So if I'm going across the y-axis, which way is my shape going to flip over, guys? It's going to go from the right side over here to the left side. And remember, a translation is a slide. If I translated, I would slide it, but I am not. I am reflecting it, so that means I've got to flip it over, right? So look at W. W is 0, 0. When I go across the x-axis, I have to do y times negative 1. What do you think I'm going to do when I want to go across the y-axis? There you go. But what happens now if I'm dealing with this 0, 0, what happens when I multiply 0 times negative 1? Still 0, right? So my W prime is going to be the same point. P. I'm going to go up and right. To flip it over, I'm going to have to go up and left, right? This is 5, 1. If I did x times negative 1, what would be my reflected? What would be my P? Just flipping the whole thing over. And the rule is across y, x times negative 1. And I promise that's all you're going to be doing here is x times negative 1. All right, what about A? Here's A. You figure out what A and F are going to be. Mabel? Up 4, right 2. To flip it over, up 4 and left 2. Up 4, right 2 is for positive 2. Sorry, that's not right. 2, positive 4, negative 2, positive 4. If you look at the coordinates for A and A prime, what's the only thing that changed? Right? Too easy, yes? One day. One day is it on this stuff. All right, and then I have one more F. Five, 2, negative 5, 2. All my Y's are exactly the same. There's 2 ways to remember it. You can say, I'm going to multiply the opposite one by negative 1, or if I'm flipping over Y, Y stays the same, right? If I'm flipping over X, X is going to stay the same. It's a reflection. You should always be able to fold your paper over that line and one cover the other. Did you guys ever do that art project in elementary school where you put paint on a paper and then you folded it over? You only put paint on one side and then you folded it over. Most times it came out looking like a butterfly. Okay, that was reflection. That was you doing reflection when you were in elementary school. All right, how are we feeling about these so far? Pretty good? All right, you're going to do 3 and 4. Come on. What's going to happen when you do problem 3? It's going to overlap. It is. It's going to cross the y-axis, but it's going to overlap. Goes this way because this is the y-axis and you're flipping across the y. So you're flipping over this way. Okay? If it says X, then you're going to go up and down. But if it says Y, you're going to be going left and right. We're going across the Y, right? Mm-hmm. So the Y is going to change. The Y is going to stay the same. And the X is going to change. So I have, what's this coordinate point right here on G? 4. Okay, so write that down. 4, negative 2. All right, now the negative 2 is going to stay the same because that's Y. And we're going across the y-axis. But I got to multiply X times negative 1. You should write that down up here. X times negative 1 when you're going across Y. So, negative 4, negative 2. Negative 4, negative 2. That's going to be your G prime. Going across the y-axis. So it's not coming up. It's flipping over Y. Good. Mm-hmm. Yes. This is y. It's not flipping over the x. See how that has an x on it and that has a y on it? It's flipping over the y. So when you're doing y, you're going left and right. When you're doing x, you're going up and down. That's my y-axis, right? So when I flip over the y-axis, these 2 points are going over here into quadrant 4, and these 2 are going to come over here into quadrant 3. Because when I flip across the y-axis, -1 times x and y stays the same, right? So G is for -2. So what should G prime be? -4. Yes. G prime. What is F? -1, -2. So F prime, 1, -2. D, -1, -4. So D prime, 1, -4. All of my y's are staying the same. I'm flipping over the y-axis, so all of those y's are going to stay the same. But the x is going to have a different sign. And my B prime. Make sure this is on your paper or in your notes. Across y. X times -1, y stays the same. You know you'll have a quiz tomorrow and you will know you want notes for that quiz, right? Have you got your translation notes together? Videos, there's 3 different videos in Google Classroom. Come on. All right. Looking at problem 4. We're going across x, right? So what's the rule? X stays the same. Y times -1. So when I'm going across the x, that means I'm going to be flipping up and down, right? So it's going across x, so that means it's got to flip over, up and down, okay? Y, flipping back and forth, left and right. X, back and forth, up and down. So R, come up here. So it's 3 down. Your R prime's going to have to go 3 up. Three down, go 3 up. 2, 3. Remember, you're going across x, so the x is going to stay the same, right? That means you're going to come up. This will go down 3. Your prime is going to have to go up 3. -2, -3. Going across x. So this x is going to stay the same. And it's going to come down 3. -3 times -1 is +3. So my r prime is going to have to be -2, 3. This goes left 2 and down 3. To get r prime, you're going to have to do the same left 2 on x, because x stays the same, but opposite on y. So this was going down, you're going to have to go up. R prime. R prime. All right, what about B? B is -3, +2. Still going to go left 3 because x stays the same, but I got to do the opposite on y. This is left 3 up 2. So now you've got to go left 3 and down 2. So B prime is going to be the same -3, but now I have a -2. X is going to be a little bit tricky because that's a 2, 0. Again, what happens when I multiply 0 times -1? So that's still, x prime ends up being the same exact point, right? Z, 2, -2. To get to Z, I had to go right 2 and down 2. X stays the same, so I'm still going to go right 2. But Y is opposite, so instead of going down, I got to go up. So right 2, up 2. So what is across that x axis? Where do you think? How do you feel you're at? 1, don't really know what you're doing. 2, I think I'm understanding it. Okay, good job. All right. Now, on these, we're just going to count. These, you got to go back to the graphing. How do I graph x equals 1? How do I graph x equals 1? That's x equal 1, right? And draw a line through it. Okay. Now, does that line run with the Y or with the X? With the Y. So that means if I'm going to flip over this, I'm going to flip this way, right? So how far is G from this line? 1 to the... So if I'm going to flip over, I have to go 1 to the... To this day, I hate it when somebody tells me to hold my right hand or my left hand up because I got to think, which one do I write with? All right, P. From this line, we're using this line because it was given to us. P. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So P prime from this line has to go 4 to the right. P prime. C. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it looks, whoops, I missed a point, sorry. C prime. It looks off because we had to shift our y-axis over 1. This is our fold line on our paper right here. You always want to make sure that you could fold that paper on that line, and this shape should cover that shape exactly. Let's look at 6. Whoa. Where does y equal negative 2 at? Find y equal negative 2 for me on your paper. When you have that point, draw a line through it. Y equals negative 2, right down there, right? Negative 2 on y. Now just draw that line. Remember when we were graphing those lines, x equals was vertical, y equals was horizontal. Since I'm going across that line, do I want my shape to be flipping left and right, or do I want my shape to be flipping up and down? Up and down. All right, so from that line, R is going up 1. So to reflect it, R has to go down 1. R prime. From this line, we're not talking about X and Y anymore. L has to go up how many? So in reflection, L prime has to go down 3. X down 2. So reflection if I folded my paper across this line, would this L hit this L down here? Would this X hit this X? As long as the points will cover each other, you're good to go. All right, we need some number problems. Working on 10. On 10, the first thing you're going to have to do, well, let's go over to 9 just because it's better to do it in order. Plot the points first, label them, and then reflect your shape. You got to draw your pre-image first. Did I jump? Okay, with 6 images.
7 and 8
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna jump 7 and 8 because those are more pictures, and now we're working on numbers. So we're on 9. Plot your coordinates. Make sure you label them. Then you got to do your reflection. Oh, I get to -1, -2. Left 1, down 2. Whoop, I need an ink. Down 2. That is N. -1, -1. I. 4, -3. G. 4, -4. F. I am going across my y-axis. So all of my y's stay the same, right? -1 times x. All of the x's are opposite. All of the y's are the same. So n prime is going to be +1, -2. I prime, +1, -1. G prime, -4, -3. F prime, -4, -4. Opposite on x, y stays the same. 1, negative 2. N prime. 1, negative 1. I prime. Negative 4, negative 3. That's 5. G prime and F prime. Yes? We've done 7 of them. All right, let's do one more of these. Which one should we do? Looking at problems. Dang it. These are all mixed in. Um, 9 through 12. No? Don't have any preference? No. Do you care which one should we do? We're going to do another one together, 9 through 12. We did 9. Hmm?
I want to see how you make it here. Like this.
Which one?
For 9. I would like the egg. Like I thought I said with like eggs, so I did the shape of.
So you flipped it over. Okay. So your shape on 9, the given shape looked like that, and then your reflected shape should have been like that. All right, across the y-axis. So all of these y's are going to do what? Stay the same, right? So what is K prime going to be, guys? Y stays the same. X times negative 1. 4, 0. Cross the y-axis. Y stays the same. Negative 1 times x. So what about x prime? Positive 4, 3. M prime. That's going to stay the same all the way around because I got that 0 in there again. And B prime. Negative 1, 0. negative 4, 0. Right there, yes? That's my K. Negative 4, 3. X. 0, 4. M. And 1, 0. Do you ever wish that, like back in 6th grade, tried to teach you how to do these? Probably learned it real well. Then in 7th grade, tried to teach you how to do these. Probably learned it real well. And then in 8th grade, we've learned how to do these plotting points. Learned it real well. And then you just forget it. You ever wish you just tried to do something to make it stick in up there? If you know the past math, the future math gets a lot easier. All right, K prime, 4, 0. It's in the opposite direction, right? We're going across the Y. So I don't need to go up or down. I go opposite of going left is coming right. K prime. X prime. I have to go left and up. So now I need to go right and up. X prime. M prime ended up being the same point. B goes right. B prime's got to go left. 1 stays the same. 1 is the opposite. Got that little triangle right in here? All right, we're going to the last page where we got to write those rules. So going to problem 13, I believe it is. Excuse me. No, we're going to 15. What is G on 15? Find it over here. It's going to get easier. Did that go across the x-axis or did that go across the y-axis? Yes, ma'am. Did I miss anybody else? Everybody else have to? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going from G to G prime. So what axis did I flip over? And when you flip over the y-axis, come in. Stop, go back. Y stays the same. X times -1. All you have to write here X comma Y goes to. Yes, you have to write the coordinate. Yes, you have to write the arrow. Who stayed the same? What did we do to X? So you're done.